Dear African American brothers and sisters, was Mohammed white or ruddy complexion, and did he have a red beard? Because there seems to be a preponderance of people of Islamic faith in the Middle East and in parts of Africa to dye their beards red. And there's a description of him as being certainly ruddy, because his hair was normally covered, so we wouldn't really know what color his hair was, and with a red beard. So let's come out of this, because then the question begs, what is it about you constantly and your leaders constantly following the redhead, the red dragon? And I believe he was part of the dragon people that came down from that area because of how he engaged in warfare and also how he went after women, as well as his destruction of the Hurrian people, all right, and wanting Hurries as his sex slaves in death. So let's come out of this. Oh, that's a different one. So let's look at, we're looking at next one, Ethiopian and its slave trade history. Not as, right, but let's go into Muhammad was white. And if you go through here and look at this, in fact, I've even seen some pictures of him. There's an Islamic tradition that states Muhammad was white. Okay. Muhammad, if you go through and look at, white-skinned by lifting up, some of them had, and here this one is trying to tell you that no, it wasn't, but the person was of, but you have to see who wrote this. So let's go the Rastafarian. A Rastafarian is pretty interesting. Was Muhammad white? There is an Islamic tradition that states that Muhammad was white. Well, Rastafarians tend not to be white, so let's see what that say. No, why would it be a sign of peace? Oh, we know that he had a red beard. We know that he liked white women. We know that he wanted 72 Hurrians or 70 Hurrian sex slaves upon death, at a minimum. Let's take a look. So the question is, I know Aisha was supposed to have been blonde or very light. Could be white. Was a white man. He had pink or reddish hair. This was not uncommon in that area, especially given the groups of people who came in out of the Caucasus, the Celts that came down through that area. Neither very white nor very black, I think that's what it said. Let's come in and take a look at here. Was he a redhead? Did the Prophet Muhammad have red hair, blue eyes? There are not many historical documents. So the question is, may have had red hair. It's also in later years that he used henna to dye his beard red. Why would he use red henna on his beard? Unless he used to have a red beard. Ooh, that sounds nasty. Okay, so that's South Park. That doesn't count. And finally, let's look at this. It is believed by some that the Prophet, why do Islamic men dye their beards red? Oh, it should be that. Why do Islamic dye their beards red? That makes sense. It is believed that some of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be, dyed his beard red. Well, why? That men should dye their beards. Why? Why? Then he must have, something about him must have seen red hair as meaning something. I saw it everywhere. Who had dyed their hair or their facial hair orange. What is this about? Let's go on. Is there a picture? Yeah. I guess, remember, Muhammad's head was covered. Another one? Oh, that's hair and, oh. Wow. Yeah. He doesn't even have a beard. Well, this is a different trend, dyeing your head that color. Let's go back here. I'm just, you know, decoding facial hair. Oh, here we go. Why do Indian men dye their hair? Only Islamic. Why are they busy imitating the Celts or Northern Europeans? Because, why do they think that Muhammad had a red beard? You know, he could have had dark hair, a very light complexion, and a red beard, because it's not, or a redder beard, because it's not that uncommon for certain areas of Celtic pockets to have that. And, you know, the Celts immigrated all throughout the Middle East as well. They came down. I don't know. But the bottom line is that they were such a terror going through Africa that you either became Muslim and you died for us, or the women became Islamic concubines and infiltrated that way. So when we talk about the heritage of Africa, what it was, we don't really know. In a lot of areas, what it is, I'm not sure. But we do know that you've been imitating very white people and taking things on when you're trying to exert an identity that, and trying to find your African roots. That becomes really interesting. The other interesting I read was the history of circumcision. It's not originally Jewish. It's originally, they got it from Africa. Remember, when it supposedly sneaks into the Abrahamic tradition is with Ishmael and his Egyptian, you know, concubine. And that's when it occurs. And the Egyptians did it to their children when they were entering adolescence, especially the upper class, did it to their individuals when they were adolescents. So that lets me think that the Jewish people wanted to gain a tradition that they were the aristocracy of Egypt. Hence they shaved their heads, wore a cap, you know, had these earlocks coming down, because that was also part of a particular Egyptian priestly group. So it's interesting to see how the Jews are imitating the Egyptians in some place, and then they're imitating Dionysus in another place, and how they're imitating this. And so it's very much like how the Catholic Church or Islam goes through appropriating different traditions and just throwing it all into its pot and calling it itself. What is interesting about the circumcision is that it's actually seen with the Aboriginals in Australia when the British get there, and they did it during adolescence. And it can be a very dangerous thing, that whole rite for boys in adolescence. They don't always come out of it alive in Africa. So that's something that should probably stop. But it's clearly not, again, it's clearly, circumcision is clearly the Jews imitating their African roots and wanting to gain and have access to Egypt and being seen as nobility. And it was done by the Moabites, the Ammonites, I guess parts of Phoenicia, parts of southern Arabia, but it was not noted in the Hurrian. You would not have seen it in the Hurrian and the other traditions. So what's this whole thing about the redheads? What's this whole thing about the redheads? Okay, there we go. And we should really question this whole thing. I mean, I'm asking African Americans to question certain things because you hurt. And I understand that you hurt, because as a woman, I hurt, you know, I understand that you're looking for your tradition and your history in white words. I'm looking for my history and tradition in words that men, regardless of where you are in this world, have said only our words matter. So I'm asking you guys to listen to what needs to happen on this end as well. All right, thank you so much. Think about that thing, please. All right. Oh, did I say in the beginning, this is Lynn Schnebley with Educating with Wisdom, the ambassador for heaven's creating and protecting goddesses and archangels over life? Well, if I didn't, I'm sorry that I didn't. Bye.